This 21-17-7 score represents quite a bit to New England Patriot fans. It shows just how far their team has come. Where if the Pats hadn't narrowly been defeated by the Raiders in the playoffs last year, it well could have been New England defending a championship this season rather than Oakland. Yes, as the 1977 season began this week, everyone, fans, so-called experts, players, and the coaching staff alike, feels the Pats have already climbed that mountain of respectability and are now perched on top, poised to make a run for all the marbles. The Patriots have been deemed the NFL's hottest young team, and if there is a doubt about them whatsoever, the bee under the bonnet may well be their young quarterback, Steve Grogan. The lean, lanky quarterback from Kansas State has unquestioned leadership and running ability. It's his passing that is still suspect. Grogan seldom hits on 50% and was especially erratic in preseason. There is no doubt about the New England defense, however. They effectively use Fairbanks 3-4 and should be even stronger in the secondary this season, as last year's sensational #1 picks, Tim Fox and Mike Haynes, are joined by this year's top pick, cornerback Raymond Claiborne, number 26. This is the second straight year the Patriots have had two #1s. Joining Claiborne is Stanley Morgan, a flanker from Tennessee. The two #1s give the Pats blazing speed on the return teams. While the Patriots have climbed a mountain, the Kansas City Chiefs are very definitely down in the valley. In two successive seasons under head coach Paul Wiggin, they have finished with identical 5-9 records. In fact, 3 straight years they've gone 5-9. This year, the demonstrative Wiggin has the added burden of perhaps the most difficult schedule in the entire NFL. The gravest weakness is a defense that ranked 27th in the NFL, next to last, and yielded tremendous yardage, especially on the ground. Still, Wiggin, the former All-Pro defensive end with the Cleveland Browns, is a coach his players identify with. And despite the record, the Chiefs are a young team with some talent. The offense is particularly youthful. Such names to remember in the future, perhaps the near future, are Tony Reed, Walter White, Ted McKnight, Henry Marshall, and Tony Adams. The offense is exciting, and the passing ranked second in the entire league last year. The catalyst for the attack is quarterback Mike Livingston. No Lenny Dawson, perhaps, but a gutsy type who can tuck the football and take off. The receivers, Walter White and Henry Marshall, are first-rate. But it is a woeful defense that will do the Chiefs in, despite the fact that former All-Pro Willie Lanier is back for an 11th season. The Chiefs will score, but will be scored upon even more. Raymond Claiborne, the fleet first-round draft choice, didn't have to wait long for his NFL indoctrination as the Chiefs kicked off the game and the 1977 season. When the Pats offense took the field, it featured a new look on the left side of the offensive line. Here, two All-Pros, John Hanna and Leon Gray, have left the team in a contract dispute. And with subs Shelby Jordan, number 74, and Pete Brock in their place, the Patriots were unable to move the ball on the ground in their first series. With 3rd and long, Grogan put the ball in the air, and the Chiefs had the first turnover of the new season. Gary Barbaro's interception gave his team the ball at the New England 46, and it was left for the Patriots' 3-4 defense to deny further inroads on their soil. Their defense, led by Sam Hunt and Julius Adams, was more than equal to the task. Kansas City was forced to call on 15-year pro Gerald Wilson to punt, and this gave New England's second #1 draft pick his first chance to handle the ball. Stanley Morgan, a 4-4 flasher from Tennessee, fielded the kick, but was contained from going wide. On their first series, the running game, usually a strength, was missing from the New England attack. The entire left side of the line, Russ Francis, Leon Gray, and John Hanna, have been all-pro in the past, and with 2 of the 3 missing, it appeared Grogan would be forced to pass more than he wished. Sure enough, the Chiefs' much-maligned defense refused much yardage on the ground. And again, on 3rd and long, Grogan went the air route. And again, he was intercepted, although it was hardly his fault. Another look shows the pass in and out of the hands of setback Don Calhoun, with number 51, Jim Lynch, making the interception. Now with a big break and excellent field position on the Patriot 19, Livingston used his running backs, Tony Reed and MacArthur Lane, exclusively. 7 straight times they pounded into the Patriot 3-4, and on the last, Lane found enough daylight to squeeze into the end zone for the game's first score. Despite the fact that the running game is their forte, New England couldn't get it started and were forced to give up the ball. The defection of the 2 offensive linemen was looming larger when Mike Livingston delivered a bomb to Henry Marshall. Marshall has been compared to Kansas City great Otis Taylor, and his catch gave the Chiefs the ball at the Patriots 16. 2 plays later, Tony Reed got the call, and Kansas City had its second straight touchdown. The Chiefs have long looked for a runner to replace the great Mike Garrett, a speedy, shifty type. They thought they had him in Woody Green, but that #1 pick has largely been a bust. But when they chose Tony Reed on the 2nd round, it appears they hit pay dirt. Another look reveals the rookie runner was nearly caught in his own backfield. Now leading by a surprising 14-0 score, it was time for the Patriots' vaunted attack to spark. Totally eschewing the run, which hadn't worked yet, Grogan went to the air with good results, hitting his all-pro tight end, Russ Francis, with 2 consecutive passes. The Chiefs' first-round draft choice was number 24, cornerback Gary Green from Baylor, a player Kansas City is so high on they feel he was the best athlete taken in the entire draft. Despite Green's presence in the lineup, however, Grogan was rolling through the air lanes. From the Chiefs' 34, Grogan pulled out a reverse and blocked well for Darryl Stingley, who went all the way for a touchdown. A big complaint among the Pats' few detractors has been that the wide receivers seldom get the ball in Chuck Fairbanks' game plan. Of course, this was referring to the passing attack. But now Grogan found another way to get the ball to the fleet wide receiver, and Stingley had taken it 34 yards for the Pats' first touchdown. With New England trailing now by a single touchdown, Schaefer Stadium had suddenly come alive. With the Patriots only 7 points down, despite a terrible beginning that had seen the Chiefs claim 2 interceptions, New England began to play more confidently, and an all-out blitz got them a turnover. Steve Zabel put Livingston down, then claimed Julius Adams' open field center snap and carried the Patriots to their own 42-yard line. New England seemed ready to take command of the game. They had cooled the Chiefs' hot start and eliminated the mistakes that had put them in an early hole. Sacker and fumble recoverer Steve Zabel watched as Steve Grogan prepared to capitalize on his turnover when he found Sam Cunningham circling out of the backfield for 35 yards to the Kansas City 10-yard line. Looking at the play from ground level reveals that Grogan got plenty of protection, enabling him to spot Cunningham in an opening in the Chiefs' zone. But with the ball resting close to the Chief goal, the Patriots slipped back into their earlier ways. From the 6, Grogan gave to Don Calhoun. Calhoun reached the end zone, and Cunningham signaled 6. The only problem was that the ball was back at the 5, where Billy Andrews recovered for Kansas City. As had happened earlier in the game, the turnover turned the Chiefs downright offensive again. Tony Reed's good effort for 25 yards plus a personal foul moved the ball from the Kansas City 16 to the New England 44. But a few plays later, the Patriots gambled on a blitz again and won once more. For the second time, a safety blitz had yielded a turnover. Number 48, Tim Fox, the safety blitzer and smallest member of the New England defense, spent the entire game up close to the big men, often faking blitzes, and this time coming, reaching Livingston just before he could release his pass. Number 59, Pete Barnes, recovered and set the Patriots up inside Chief territory. And from the 21, Grogan hit Stingley, who outbattled 2 Chiefs and stepped into the end zone. In a half where they had looked like they might get blown away, the Patriots had overcome 3 turnovers and used a Chief mistake to tie the game at halftime 14-14. As Paul Wiggin watched, the second half turned into a defensive struggle with neither team threatening the opposition's end zone. The game no longer belonged to the whippet wide receivers and scatbacks. This was basic football, with each side probing for a break or a weakness. Neither team could find one or create one. Two teams that had scored 28 points in the first half would not score again until just 2 minutes remained in the third quarter. The Chiefs, in fact, who had scored 2 touchdowns in the first 11 minutes of the game, would get into the end zone no more. Kansas City's only significant gain came when a Livingston pass was deflected but still found its way into MacArthur Lane's hands. Despite their good fortune on the play, the Chiefs lost the advance when offensive interference was called. New England finally got started when Grogan, last year's quarterback rushing leader, performed his specialty to start a drive. Grogan's 12-yard run brought the Patriots into Chief territory, and his pass to Steve Burks moved New England 20 yards closer. From the 25, 3 runs put New England in front when Jess Phillips rock and rolled into the end zone from the 11-yard line. At the conclusion of his run, there were no end zone pyrotechnics, just the toss of the ball to an official, for that is Phillips' style. For 10 years, he has performed professionally, if not spectacularly, always giving 110%, as a repeat of his touchdown reveals. The Patriots now led 21-14, and the Chiefs, who had undergone a long dry spell on offense, recognized the need for something different. So twice on the same drive ran reverses to outflank New England's stingy 3-4 defense. Early in the fourth quarter, Kansas City used this razzle-dazzle drive to set up Jan Stenerud's 22-yard field goal that cut the deficit to 21-17 with 10 minutes to go in the game. Though they had gotten to the 4-yard line, the Chiefs settled for a field goal because plenty of time still remained. It seemed like sound strategy until Sam Cunningham got his hands on the ball. Cunningham went 43 yards for what seemed like a 28-17 lead. But back upfield, strange things were happening. Tight end Russ Francis was locked in combat with one of the Chief defenders. It would lead to his ejection from the game, but another penalty on Francis, number 81, whom officials detected moving before the snap, although not obvious from this angle, cost the Patriots a possible clinching touchdown. Cunningham would rush for over 100 yards despite losing this 43-yard sprint, but it was the loss of a touchdown that hurt most as Kansas City still trailed by only 4 points. Still, their task seemed almost insurmountable when Mike Patrick hit a perfect punt that was downed on the 4-yard line when Bob Hyland kept the ball from going into the end zone. With the ball 96 yards away and less than 6 minutes to go in the game, the Chiefs clearly had their work cut out for them. This close to their own end zone, there was little opportunity to go back to the trick plays that had served them well earlier. But playing a more standard brand of football, Livingston moved the Chiefs to midfield on 2 pass completions. The drive would go no further than Livingston's pass to Lane that carried to the 50, but it gave Gerald Wilson a chance to pin the Pats in a hole, knocking a punt out of bounds on their own 15. The instructions were simple as Grogan talked with Chuck Fairbanks. Nothing fancy, just hold on to the ball. But with over 2 minutes to go in the game, Wilbur Young forced a fumble, and the Chiefs were in business on the Patriot 30-yard line. The Chiefs had claimed yet another turnover, this one a fumble that could lead to victory. But Kansas City could not move on 1st and 2nd down, and so in a 3rd and throw situation, New England gambled once again, and Tim Fox completed his biggest safety blitz of the game. The Patriot blitzing tactics had played a major role in shaping the outcome of this game. 2 earlier safety blitzes had caused fumbles, and this one put the Chiefs in a 4th and 17 situation from the 37, leaving Kansas City just 1 desperate pass attempt from defeat. A pass attempt that never had a chance when linebacker Steve Nelson blitzed Livingston into a hopeless incompletion. New England had prevailed 21-17 over a surprisingly tough Kansas City team. but the two teams take widely divergent paths from here. While New England is expected to ride one of the easiest schedules in the league into the playoffs, the Chiefs must play one of the league's toughest formats. They'll have to continue to play at least as well as they did against the Patriots just to stay competitive.